Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over a bunch of teams for the Gems of War Rope Dart weapon. Of course, we've kind of already been going over these throughout the week, but I figured we'd do one last recap video for the last day that'll be available for quite some time. This was the first time it has been in SoulForge for about a year and a half now. Luckily, the next time it shows up shouldn't be that long. Hopefully, it'll only be like half a year or so. But yeah, if you haven't gotten this weapon, definitely make sure to do so. Of course, we have dungeons today for a bunch of diamonds, so if you don't have the last of the diamonds yet, you could definitely be able to go and get a good majority of them to close that gap if that's the main thing you're missing. But anyways, main thing we're going to be going over are a bunch of teams, most of which we've already shown throughout the week, but just kind of wanted to compile them all to one location. Some of them will also be applicable for next week, because if I'm not mistaken, we have or not next week, but the following week, when we have 2 weeks from now, when we have Yellow Guild War Doom, or Yellow Doom, I mean. So it'd still be a yellow restriction. But anyways, so let's go over a bunch of teams, and then we'll go mess with a few of them, mostly the PvP related ones. So first off, and probably my absolute favorite PvP team in the entire game right now, Mother of Darkness also should be in SoulForge next week. I believe it's the end of the Mythic cycle, so if you're missing that, should be able to get her very soon. But anyways, this team, very, very strong. It uses Pure Rogue. One of the few only pure rogue teams. It runs Rope Dart, Night Spider, Mother of Darkness, and Captain McCall. Basically, the main premise of this is, of course, Rope Dart, with its mighty ability as far as what it does. It eliminates all armor from an enemy and then deals damage to them, basically doing true damage since it eliminated all of the armor from them. And then it also pulls them all the way to the first slot. On top of this, it also ends up placing an Entangle on them, destroys 3 red, which normally would be a bad thing, but is a good thing because it has an automatic extra turn, and has an automatic extra turn because that's the other effect that it has off of its perks. So it ends up gaining a lot of value every single time it gains a cast. It's probably the highest win rate weapon in the entire game, making it really good for using in Guild Wars, using in PvP, and just kind of messing around with. But anyways, we have that premise. We have the gigantic amount of blue and purple that you can get off a Night Spider, because when you're using a pure rogue team, it creates a very high amount of gems, specifically 15 of both, which is obviously pretty high. Mother of Darkness ends up doing a true damage poke, and this allows you to create a bunch of purple onto the board, which feeds back into Night Spider, which basically means whenever you get a kill, you could feed Night Spider into Mother of Darkness and keep going back and forth. Not to mention Night Spider feeds directly into itself as well. So not only does Night Spider feed into itself, which feeds into everything, but you can also feed Mother of Darkness back into Night Spider, basically being able to cast her for free in many situations. And of course, just to help the team along, we have 50% rogue start in order to help the entire team start with 50%. You generally don't use its ability, however, it does have an interesting effect in that if they are running Submerge, like let's say they're running something like a Frost Mage with Submerge or something else that has that Submerge whenever you take an extra turn on hero, you can end up destroying them by instantly killing anything that has Submerge. So ends up working out occasionally for that aspect. However, generally you're using him only for his half mana start, but occasionally he can get some insta kills too, which of course makes killing them even easier. But that's that team. Next up is probably one of the most traditional ones, which is a Divine Ishbala Quillen option. There's quite a few ways that you can end up ordering this. This is more of an offensive method using Thief. The more defensive one normally ends up using Frost Mage hero class, so you have the freeze. But the basic premise is Divine Ishbala ends up creating a double convert, which also synergizes really well with the other double convert of Quillen. Ideally, you actually want to cast Quillen first, which might seem a little bit weird given that he's all the way in last slot. But normally you can get enough mana off a Moon Rabbit, or just take another extra turn, or take another turn off the board in order to get the last little bit of its mana. And the main reason why you want to do that is it ends up placing a bunch of red onto the board. And after you place all those reds onto the board, you can then get a good Divine Ishbala cast that then feeds back into herself, which allows her to cast again, ideally. And you can kind of just go crazy with at least a triple cast while having a Rope Dart do a lot of damage. And since you get to put any one of their enemy team into the position you want, you end up getting a lot of value from that, since you could disorient at least one of them and then skull spam them down very quickly. And of course, Moon Rabbit's there just for the Empower in order to get a good convert. It also gives us Bless to the first slot, which not only cleanses, but until they act out of it, it will also allow them to not get entangled or mana drained or any other effects like that. The other one that I don't believe I've shown yet this week is, of course, doing Vinoxia builds. Personally, not as big of a fan as using Vinoxia or Queen Bee Trick, so very rarely do I bring them out. However, it is still one of the better synergies for Rope Darts. They have a little bit inconsistency with actually landing their extra turn, but the basic premise, of course, is that they hit a lot of true damage, and you can end up synergizing that with Rope Dart in order to get some pretty quick kills. And you can just speed it up with Leprechaun, or put something like a Mythic there, like the Scourge, which ends up doing full AoE, and can end up utilizing the Brown off of Beatrix. Not too big a deal if you don't end up using that Brown, but you can end up doing it that way if you have the Mythic. Anyways, as far as some yellow ones, this is what we showed, actually, I believe, last night for Yellow Guild War. Really safe, nice Guild War team. A little bit slow because you're actually converting away your own color, which might seem like a bad thing. However, generally on Guild War color days, people will empower away whatever color you're using, and yellow is definitely one of those days that it tends to happen. However, you can counter that by basically doing it before the enemy does. So even though we're converting away the 4 yellow that we're using, or 4 troops that use yellow, we are doing it before the enemy does it. So if they're already planning on denying our color, we could basically get the control over the board before they do. It doesn't make the battle slow, of course, because you're denying the main color you need. However, they were going to do so anyways, so it's still normally worth it. Also, if the starting board's really good, you could just opt to not do anything, and then it's not even blocking your rope dart, so you could just go directly into rope dart. It's set to blue yellow, so you can end up getting rope dart in a single turn. So if you have like a good take off the starting board, you basically just get an immediate rope dart and kind of just go crazy from there. Mistralis is used for its enchant, as well as the board reshuffle, as well as some poke damage, and the automatic extra turn, of course. And Arachnean Weaver is used as the backup plan to make sure you never die. It has web, it has true damage to basically clean up the kills, has a bunch of explosion for when it gets the kills, has impervious, is stealthy so it can't be targeted, so it's always going to be the last thing alive in almost every situation. And of course, it gets to resummon a bunch of web spinners, so if you're really falling behind, you pretty much still auto-win off the billion web spinners, which also synergize pretty well when Schlammerstew dies, because it's 25% skull reflect, so it gets some damage in there, then you get a web spinner there if it does end up dying, and you're pretty much good to go. And it synergizes pretty good with rope dart. As far as another yellow one, which of course these can also work for the yellow Tower of Doom that we have in 2 weeks, is Gorgoltha, well, technically 1 week, 8 days from now. Gorgoltha, Divine Shpala, Rope Dart, and Quillen. This is basically the exact same premise of Divine Shpala Quillen. However, it is used for a pure yellow team. Of course, we can't end up using the variant of this other one, unfortunately, because it has Moon Rabbit, and Moon Rabbit's not a yellow. So whenever you're restricted purely to yellow, you will not have access to it. However, this is basically the next alternative. There are a few other ways that you could end up doing it, like with a Wrath or Skull Explosion and stuff like that. But I normally like going a nice safe Gorgoltha, unless they have Rope Dart or something, and going down that route. But you can end up doing a Wrath there as well. And that will end up going and creating a bunch of skull spam and basically have a triple-double convert if you want to go down that route. It's quite a bit riskier, however, it would, of course, go crazy with skulls once it gets going. The biggest issue is getting it going. And lastly here, we have Blue Guild War darts. This is one that I didn't actually show this week. I personally don't really care for using Rope Dart on Blue Day, though it can be done. The main synergy, of course, is Rope Dart into Beatrix, and you end up getting that synergy. Beatrix, of course, goes into Grey King, and then you can have something for a tank. This happens to be a Mirage Queen. One nice thing about this is it does have 4 times Curse, which allows you to set all the status effects of Frost Mage as well as off the Grey King. So ends up working out pretty decently. I personally don't use it for Blue Guild War Day, but it's a way that it can be incorporated into such teams. Anyways, let's go show the main 3 PvP ones all the way from the top and start with my absolute favorite, the Night Spider one. So yeah, this is pretty much the only thing I've been using for PvP pretty much since it has existed. I believe it came out last December, the Spider, and it is so much fun to use. However, since then, of course, we haven't really had access to a Rope Dart, but it is back. But anyways, basic premise here is we just go absolutely crazy with extra turns. We just go get everything to full mana. We can Rope Dart pretty much anything we want. Unfortunately, I can't Rope Dart his Rope Dart, but we'll go for that, get a kill. Oh gosh, this is going to be an annoying battle, I see. Always the most annoying battles for when we start showing teams, never the easy ones. I guess we will go move you. Okay, well, one nice thing about Night Spider is you can spam it almost infinitely, so at least there's that. If nothing else, I kind of want to try moving one of these into a kill position for Weaver, which if we get Rope Dart one more time, we can actually go do that. So right here, we can go move this up, which brings us into the kill range for this. The main reason I wanted to do this, actually I want to do this one more time, just to make the board a little bit better for purple. But the main reason I wanted to do this was so we could directly hit his hero. So if we do that, boom, we hit the hero, and we're good to go. And now we can do the same thing again, just get the mana all the way back to full, hit the hero, and we'll be good to go. And if he could ever stop summoning, we will eventually kill him. Oh, we'll go for that. Both of them will die. Oh gosh, of course they both resummon. But luckily this team is near infinite, so won't really need to worry about it too much. We'll go for this. But yeah, Mother of Darkness should be available next week. If you picked up the Rope Dart, you could pretty much go build this team next week. So definitely keep an eye out for it. Because gosh, is it fun. It's not the quickest PvP team out there, but it's a lot of fun to use for sure. Anyways, next, pretty standard team, Divine Shpala Quillen. This is probably the most common one you'll see on defense, particularly with Frost Mage. The reason for using it with Thief, normally offensively, is one, it has Stealthy, but also because it has the higher amount of damage. You have Hunter's Mark, you have the 7% insta-kill thingy, But it is used with Frost Mage as well, which of course does the very annoying freeze, which can easily disorient teams, and is more common to see when defending. So right here, we are using Frost Mage. Oh no, we're not using Frost Mage. Normally if you're using Frost Mage variant, you can actually take a blue here in order to get full mana. However, we are not using the Frost Mage variant right now, so this might be a little bit of a bad situation for us. I don't think we could properly deny what he's about to do, which is rather unfortunate. The other thing is actually just going to help him. Oh, I could take the yellow there too to get a little bit more value. We're not frozen on green, so that's nice. However, the other convert can't really do anything now that he just got rid of all of our precious yellows. Divine Ishbala will not really do much for us. We will get a skull. What's he about to convert? Purple to green. That's actually kind of fine, so we're going to let him do that, because that shouldn't really do anything for us. If anything, that actually just made Divine Ishbala's cast a little bit better, if we could actually get the mana for it. The biggest issue here is that we are webbed, even though we have good alignment over there. I kind of just want to pass a turn and see if we can get something else going. Though I also just kind of want to go for the convert, though if we're giving him any value anywhere else, that'd probably be a bad idea. So I'm just going to actually ruin our alignment over here, which might seem a little weird. But we really need that cleanse before we can get things rolling here. But once we do, we should be perfectly fine. And of course, this is going to be one of those instances where it goes to like 70% and still does not want to get cleansed. It happens sometimes. I'm kind of tempted to take a blue here, especially since we're about to convert them away anyways the following turn. We do have Hunter's Mark on ourselves, so you know what? I'm actually going to go for this. We will not get an extra turn from this, even though we are getting extra turn, but you know, we're frozen, so we don't get the extra turn. But there we go. Okay, now we can actually play the game. Unfortunately, he has the ability that kills us, so not quite. So he's about to convert all brown to Doom Skull. That currently does not have alignment. Actually, does that have anything? Interesting. He's actually going to get no value from that. I just need to make sure I don't take a weird move that would give him value for it. But we should be fine. We'll take the extra turn over there and should be good to go. So he'll just completely miss there, which is good. We can now have the choice of one nice thing about Rope Dart. Even though we're entangled right now, since he created Doom Skulls, we can still go target one and directly move them. So since he's using this Frost Mage, we should probably kill this Frost Mage before it does something really annoying to us again. So we do have our last slot. We got the 3 Destroy off of Rope Dart, which of course is nice. We have our purple to red convert, which is currently going to do nothing. But we also have the brown to skull, which will also do nothing because he just converted them. Goes figures. But we'll take this for now. We have a really good convert down there, so we're definitely going to go for it. This will pretty much get everything to full mana. And we should be good to go from here. It sure looks like it. So, what do we even want to go for here? We'll probably want to just Rope Dart you, which is perfectly fine. Get our poke there. It immediately dies, which is pretty nice. We'll then go for... normally want to cast this first. However, we do not have alignment for it, so we are going to have to go the Divine Ishbala. And then, ideally, we'll have alignment for this, which it looks like we still don't, though it might not matter, because she might just be able to double cast, which happens pretty often. But it won't even matter. We'll just go for the Skull Poke there, and we're good to go. So this isn't technically an infinite loop, nowhere near the kind of loopage that the Night Spider team can do. However, it normally loops enough that once you get it going, it kind of just wins in a PvP sense, because it has enough damage that even though it's not an infinite loop, it's doing damage quick enough that the enemy team will pretty much be dead by the time it stops doing its infinite turns. Or not literally infinite, but you know, until it stops doing all of its turns. But anyways, the last team I want to show here, though a little bit of a weird one to show it on, though I think we'll be fine, is the Venoxia Queen Beatrix Rope Dart team. Basically, the whole premise with this is we're using Frost Mage and have a triple Arcane. So every single time we cast anything, we will be able to go gain additional magic. So we just cast the Leprechaun, boom, they all gain 1 magic, and it kind of just keeps going. And then we just get Venoxia and everything else rolling and be good to go. Unfortunately, we are getting hit pretty hard here, though it doesn't look like he has anything too good. However, red to purple, and then yellow to skull. That does not seem to do anything too much, so we'll take this. Unfortunately, we did not surge on purple. We have like the highest surge chance in the game at some absurd number, yet we still can't land it. Let's see, we have a 67%. 1/3 of the time we still fail. Okay, let's go target Life and Death because he's not running stealthy on Life and Death, which means we should immediately target it. So a little bit of a sketchy situation here. I actually want to cast Beatrix first just because it looks like it has a higher chance of landing an extra turn on the current board. And for that reason, I do want to focus on it a little bit more, and of course it fails. Why? We didn't even get the Venoxia down. Unfortunate, it happens sometimes. It does happen sometimes. That's not going to matter. Beatrix will be able to do the rest of it, and we should be good to go. One slower variant of this, of course, that I mentioned earlier, you can put Scourge in last slot. Scourge allows you to be able to use the Brown. It's not too big a deal if you use the Brown, because if you're not using the Brown, you can utilize it more for extra turn, because you won't feel as tempted to take a 5x Brown off the board if you're not using it for anything. So you could rather instead use it to make sure Beatrix gets a higher rate of extra turns. Fortunately, it didn't get the Venoxia cast there, but of course, Queen Beatrix into Rope Dart's already enough to make it work, and you can just incorporate teams around that combo, and that's pretty much the main combo anyways, is the Beatrix to Rope Dart, and just have 2 other assisting things around it, either another damage source and definitely at least 1 mana accumulator, and any team kind of centered around that generally gets the job done. But anyways, guys, that's everything for Rope Dart. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. All the teams will be in the description if you want to copy paste any of them, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye, everyone.